My name's John Delamar, and I'm going to be giving a presentation on collegiate athlete freedom of speech. I will be talking about, in part one, I'll be talking about indiscriminate use of social media. In part two, we'll talk about the legal issues of how this can be. And in part three, we'll talk about the athletes' restricted use of social media. In part one, the indiscriminate use of social media, Twitter and Facebook are the most popular platforms used today for college athletes and college students of this generation and of this era. A lot of people around the world actually use these platforms for everyday life and for everything they use. One of the examples of abuse of this of one of these platforms is by an unfortunate football player that used to play for Texas, the University of Texas. He said, "All hunters gather up. We have used a racial slur in this posting. It's in the White House." While he posted this while he played for the University of Texas. After this was posted, it was not one of his posts, but it was a text that one of his friends sent him, and he decided to post what his friend had sent. Once the coach caught wind of what was said, he immediately dismissed this player from the football team and knew that it was not a good idea to have that around and didn't want to deal with the problems that were going to come about from having him have this on his social media page. That's one of the things that shows that college athletes sometimes abuse these platforms. In other instances, like of Skylar Diggin, who was a Notre Dame women's basketball star who at the beginning of the year had 5,000 followers on her Twitter page, and as she led her team to the national championship game, her followers increased from 5,000 to 56,000. But she didn't bring upon herself, like this unfortunate Texas football player, the bad publicity. It was actually brought on by other people who she didn't know. She had had posts about her from popular people in the world like Chris Brown and Lil Wayne, referencing her as his new wife or one of the most beautiful players that they have seen. And by doing this, it brought unsolicited followers and popularity to Skylar Diggins, who was just trying to go about her normal life. By doing this, it also brought a unwanted tweet that said that they had naked photos of her and that they were going to be posting them all over social media. And Skylar Diggins decided to address this by also saying things on social media and address the truth of what was going on. So these are just ways that show that social media is and can harm our collegiate athletes. Also in this was another problem that arose using social media was a former player for the University of Florida by the name of Will Hill, who used his social media platform by tweeting grotesque tweets and racial tweets. Some of the examples are as on this PowerPoint. One of the grotesque ones was he would use explicit words as in he was going to the bathroom in an airport, and in some other racist ones, as you can see, posted there. I'm not going to say that one. But another um, athlete that played at the University of North Carolina also used his social media, but in a different way that um, showed improper benefits of what the University of North Carolina was providing for this college athlete. He was posting pictures of going to DC, visiting Miami, as you see, the benefits of dining, going out clubbing, and watching his sister and stuff like that. By doing these things, Marvin Austin actually um, put the University of North Carolina under the microscope with the NCAA, with showing or providing allegations against them on, like it says, improper benefits that NCAA athletes should not be receiving. This opened up an investigation into the University of North Carolina and would ultimately lead to um, suspensions and implications that they would have to make on the university to suspend some of the activities that were going on. Other legal issues, or sorry, this is part 2 of the legal issues. Part of this is college athletes are different. They they choose to be in that setting. They're not treated the same as with this code of conduct that the University of Minnesota implemented, which states student athletes often are in the spotlight, and fair or not, their behavior is subject to scrutiny by their peers, members of the campus, local and national communities, and by the media. The actions of one student athlete may result in the generalization to all student athletes and reflect on the individual team, department, and university, whether it be positively or negatively. Student athletes who do not conform to the code may be subject to certain consequences for their actions that may include, but are not limited to, a warning, dismissal from the team, reduction or withdrawal of athletically related financial aid, and dismissal from the university. In addition to all university policies, student athletes are responsible for following the standard in the NCAA Student Athlete Behavior Statement and the Big Ten Sports-like Conduct Statement, as well as all city, state, and federal law. The University of Minnesota isn't the only university to implement code of conducts. Some other big name university is the University of Southern California, or USC, the University of Arizona State, and many other universities also implement code of conducts that are showing student athletes that they are under the spotlight, that the things that they do are publicly known. So the things that they post and the things that they use on social media and the things that they say are always going to be under the microscope and can be taken in any way and may offend more people, or the things they say can affect the team more than they think. The student athletes are choosing this lifestyle. They forego the traditional experience that a normal college student may have in living the life and participating in other activities, participating in freedom of speech, participating in using social media to however they want, say whatever they want on it. They're passing up those opportunities so that they can have an enhanced opportunity to play collegiate sports and to be able to show their freedom of speech, while their freedom of speech on the court or on the field or whatever they're playing, they have to show it through their athletic ability and what they do there. With college athletes having the ability to choose this lifestyle, they choose to gain greater responsibility because of what they choose and what they want to do with their collegiate talent, But with those things also come the greater regulations so that they don't have problems like as in with the examples of the University of Texas football player that can bring a lot of heat to a team, or with the University of North Carolina athlete who brought unwanted unwanted NCAA violations to the school. Um, Also, part of the legal issues is that universities and schools have more power over regulating unique environments. The Supreme Court rules that because of the unique environment, that schools have the ability to regulate freedom of speech and to provide an environment that's safe for all who are on campus and off campus, and to provide an environment that will be beneficial to everybody. The Supreme Court also ruled in many instances, they grouped a bunch of freedom of speech cases from universities and named them special needs because of the unique nature of these cases and what it entails, because the schools have that ability to put more regulations because of the environment in which they're in. The student athletes restricted use of social media. One of the men's basketball coaches in NCAA for Michigan or for Mississippi State, in Rick Stansby, he implemented for his team that they were not allowed to have social media if they wanted to be part of the team. A lot of people were offended by him doing this, and a lot of people were unsure and not completely with what he was implementing because they wanted to keep up with their collegiate athletes. He used it as a platform to show collegiate athletes that there's a lot of distractions in the world and that you can get in a lot of trouble just from social media. So he decided to cut it out from their life so that they can focus on what they're really there for, which is being a student athlete, focusing on academics and what they do on the basketball court. And three reasons that a university should restrict the use of social media is that, like I stated earlier, while you're in school, you don't have the same constitutional rights. They have the ability to put more regulations and limit the freedom of speech that is heard on campus. And then with the athletes, athletes have always been more heavily regulated. They've always been limited to more things and had to be able to adhere to those regulations, as in number 3, where kind of like the military, athletes are required to adhere to uniform guidelines. They have to be able to follow the strict rules that no matter what is placed, that they have to follow it, and because they chose that lifestyle, they chose to do what they signed up for. They have to be able to listen to the rules and obey no matter what they said. And this is my presentation on the collegiate athletes' freedom of speech.